Hello folks, I'm coming to you with a hopefully pretty quick little mini lecture today, talking about using sources as you get into writing and crafting the sort of full-length drafts for your Project 2 researched argument essays. So, first things first, this is a researched argument essay, so support your argument with your research. But remember, cite all your outside information. Cite all outside information. It's better and easier to oversight than to have to deal with the university's plagiarism police. For you, for me, so just cite your outside information, all of it. Okay, so talking about kind of how to do that, right? In the text of your paper, when you're using a quote or some other outside information, remember to indicate when you're using someone else's words or ideas rather than your own, so it's clear to your reader. You can use signal phrases for this, those things like, according to so-and-so, blah blah blah, or researchers suggest that blah blah blah. And then you can go on, this means that, however you connect it to your argument. So that way you're kind of marking off with your words what your ideas are and what the ideas that you're pulling from other sources are. We follow MLA Citation Guidelines. There's a full Purdue OWL style guide available for free online. That's the style guide that we are using as reference for this class. So I encourage you to check that out for all your things, but just remember, all sources, quotes, data, paraphrases, summaries, must be cited, including both a parenthetical citation in the text, that's after the quote but before the final punctuation in the sentence, and an MLA style citation on the works cited page. Check out the Purdue OWL style guide for specifics regarding MLA citations and parenthetical citations, as far as like commas go and the order of the information and stuff. You are welcome to use auto-generated citations in this class. I use auto-generated citations in my papers, so it wouldn't be fair for me to not allow y'all to use them in yours. So the library website provides them. There are other websites online that provide them, but just make sure that you're double checking these against the MLA guidelines. They have a tendency to sometimes swap the information from one slot to the other, or to like randomly post something in all caps, and that just looks sloppy. You don't want to do that. The in-text parenthetical citations should include the author's last name and the page number. If you don't have an author's last name associated with that source, it's whatever the first part of the full citation on the works cited pages. So if it's an article without a title, it would be, or an article without an author, the title would be the first thing on that long citation on your works cited page, so the title would be what goes in the parenthetical citation in the text. If you're citing something without page numbers, like an online news article, it's proper per MLA to place the author's last name, a comma, and then the title of the article in quotation marks in that parenthetical citation. You can abbreviate long titles in this case, but like be consistent. So, for example, the article that y'all looked over earlier this semester, Dunstein and Yeager's Dialect and Influences on the Academic Experiences of College Students, could be shortened in a parenthetical citation to something like Dialect and Influences. And if you name the author or source in the sentence in which you use the information, only the page number or article title is required in the parentheses. You don't have to put the author's last name again. Also, always in all of this, refer to all authors by their last name. And if you have like multiple authors, usually you want to use all of their names the first time, and then you can use et al. But do refer to all authors by their last name. There's a marked tendency to refer to like male scholars and authors by their last name and then refer to female scholars and authors by their first name, or non-male authors by their first name, and that isn't cool. That's not cool. Don't do that. So, last names for all authors. So, when you're quoting, quotes are going to be something y'all have all used in papers before. Quotes are used when it's important to get the exact phrasing and the information from source. When it has, the phrasing has a particular punch to it, or you want to be like quoting an authority, something like that. So when you're quoting in a paper like this, you're most likely going to be using short quotes. That's anything that's under 4 lines when it's incorporated into your paper, which is of course going to be written in a standard Times New Roman 12-point font. We're going to talk about quotes that are longer than 4 lines in a second. But short quotes should be integrated into the text of your paper, so don't just plop them in. So that would look something like, according to Dunstein and Jaeger, quote, dialect can influence participation in class, degree of comfort in the course, etc., 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 end quote, and then in parentheses, page number. Then you would say, this means whatever, right? Integrate it into the text of your paper. Don't just copy-paste a quote in. In a paper of this length, long quotes, that's quotes that are going to be 5 lines or longer, so anything that goes on to that 5th line or is longer than that, should generally be avoided or used very sparingly, but if you do have a quote that's more than 4 lines long and can't be cut down using ellipses or summary or paraphrase, format it as a block quote, and there's a page on the Purdue OWL for formatting MLA style quotations that'll show you the specifics of how to do that, but you're just going to indent it twice over. And you can adjust quotes to fit grammatically into the text of your paper using minor text changes or additions that you identify in brackets, or using ellipses. Remember, all quoted information must be cited. So summarizing, right? Sometimes a source will support your argument, but you don't need to include direct phrasing or specific detail or background. Or the source provides like way more detail, background, jargon than is necessary for your argument. This is often the case with like academic research articles. In this case, it can work in your favor to summarize rather than to quote. That way you can sum up for your audience exactly what is relevant to your argument without distracting them with superfluous information. Rather than quoting the full statistical list of all of the research in a scientific article, you can just sort of summarize, in this study, this is what was found. And summarized information must still be cited. All of it. Again, with paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is like the in-between step between summarizing and quoting. Paraphrasing should be used when the information supports your argument, but the original phrasing is confusing or unnecessary or too long or whatever. Do not just run individual words through a thesaurus. Paraphrasing involves not only changing the vocabulary of a particular quote or text, but also modifying its grammar and its structure. So generally, if you're going to be paraphrasing or summarizing, it's helpful not to look at the original text while you do it, so that you're kind of relying on your memory of the text rather than relying on the text itself. Because if you're looking at the text while you're trying to paraphrase it, you're gonna end up with a paraphrase that is too similar, and that should just be marked as a quote. Paraphrasing can be helpful, especially in like shortening long quotes, by allowing you to summarize details that may or may not be specifically relevant to within the quote or surrounding the quote, to kind of allow your reader to focus exactly on what's relevant to your argument. And remember, if you're looking at your paraphrase or summary and wondering if it's too close to the original source text, it probably is. So try to, like it said again, look away from it if you're going to paraphrase or summarize, or just incorporate the quote. And all paraphrased information must be cited. You're seeing a theme here, right? So I have posted a couple pages from the Little Bengal Handbook and Style Guide. It's a textbook that I was given, but that I have not required y'all to buy for this course. Just a few pages with kind of specific info about this and examples, just in case you need more background or you want to kind of see what I'm talking about on a page. But yeah, otherwise, email me if you have any questions, and have a good day. Take care.